stop what you are doing right now, because I need you to picture something. It is 1:47 in the morning. The street is completely silent. A masked figure approaches the front door of a quiet Tucson home, flashlight clenched between his teeth, a loaded gun holstered at his side, black gloves covering his hands. He looks directly into the doorbell camera. He raises his gloved hand and tries to cover the lens. When that does not work, he reaches into a nearby plant, tears off a handful of leaves, and presses them against the camera until the screen goes dark. Then he turns back toward the door, and somewhere behind that door is an 84-year-old great-grandmother who needs daily heart medication to survive. What happened next has gripped an entire nation for over 37 days. The FBI has received more than 30,000 tips. The reward has climbed to over $1 million. And as of tonight, that masked figure still does not have a name. But here is what we now know about him and what I believe it tells us about exactly who he is. For weeks after Nancy Guthrie vanished on February 1, 2026, investigators had almost nothing to show the public. The doorbell camera had disconnected at 1:47 a.m. No footage appeared to exist. No suspect description had been released. The case was developing in silence, and the silence was deafening. Then, on February 10th, FBI Director Kash Patel made a dramatic announcement that broke the case wide open. Working with private sector technology partners, FBI technicians had spent days attempting to recover footage from the residual data and back-end systems connected to Nancy Guthrie's Nest doorbell camera, and they succeeded. 6 photographs and 3 video clips were recovered, grainy, black and white, shot in infrared, but unmistakably clear in what they showed. A masked man, armed, deliberate, standing at Nancy Guthrie's front door in the dark hours of the morning she disappeared. First question for you right now. When you saw those FBI images of the masked suspect for the first time, what was your immediate gut reaction? Did he look like a professional to you or someone who was improvising? Drop your answer in the comments. February 10th, March 10th, 2026. Catalina Foothills, Tucson, Arizona. Here is everything the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department have officially confirmed about the suspect as of today. He is male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall, average build. On the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared, he was wearing dark clothing, long pants, a jacket, a ski mask with cutouts for the eyes and mouth. He wore black gloves. He carried a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack, a brand sold exclusively through Walmart, either in-store or online. Strapped to his body was a gun holster, described by weapons experts as consistent with a Strategy large-frame revolver hip holster, a model sold at select Walmart stores for approximately $10. In one video clip, he approaches the front door and raises his gloved hand directly to the camera. In another, he faces the lens with a flashlight in his mouth before pressing leaves against it to block the view. In a third, he tilts his head downward while walking through the home's front archway, a deliberate movement, investigators noted, suggesting an awareness of camera angles. Everything he wore, everything he carried, potentially purchased at Walmart. The FBI is now tracking every Walmart sale, in-store and online, of the Ozark Trail backpack, the holster, the ski mask, and the dark clothing across the state of Arizona. Every transaction, every receipt, every surveillance camera in every Walmart parking lot. Because somewhere in that data trail is a purchase, and that purchase has a date, a location, and possibly a face. Then came a detail that shifted the entire investigation overnight. Black gloves found about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home were traced through DNA to a local restaurant employee, and that individual was confirmed to have no part in this investigation. A dead end. But the gloves that matter, the ones the masked figure was wearing at Nancy's front door, are a different story entirely. A black glove recovered approximately 1.5 miles from Guthrie's residence appeared to match the pair worn by the suspect in the doorbell camera footage. That glove is currently being analyzed by a contracted forensic lab in Florida. Sources close to the investigation told CBS News there is concern that the DNA found at the home may not yield a usable profile. The sample may be a mixed DNA profile containing genetic material from multiple individuals, which is significantly harder to analyze and separate. And yet, Sheriff Chris Nanos said on Monday that investigators are definitely closer. And here is why I believe him. Forensic genetic genealogy, the same revolutionary science that identified the Golden State Killer and the Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger, does not require a CODIS match. It works by building a family tree backward from an unknown DNA sample, identifying distant relatives whose DNA is already in public genealogy databases, and then narrowing down the family tree until investigators arrive at a specific individual. It takes time, but it has never failed to find its target when a usable profile exists. Second question. The suspect bought everything he used, the backpack, the holster, the mask, the gloves, potentially from Walmart. Does that suggest to you that he was trying to stay untraceable, or that he simply didn't have access to more sophisticated equipment? Tell me what you think in the comments. The public response to the release of the suspect footage was immediate and volcanic. Within hours of FBI Director Kash Patel posting the images on social media, the photos had been shared millions of times. True crime communities across Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter began dissecting every pixel: the way he walked, the tilt of his head, the specific model of his holster, the brand of his backpack. A security consultant and former NYPD officer told Newsweek that the suspect is likely known to Nancy Guthrie's family. Former FBI senior profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole made an observation that stopped everyone cold. The masked figure's ability to stay calm and recover quickly after failing to fully disable the camera was not evidence of incompetence. It was evidence of the opposite. A panicked amateur would have fled. This suspect adapted and continued. That speaks to training, to rehearsal, or to an extraordinarily controlled psychological state under extreme pressure. Meanwhile, a 42-year-old California man named Derek Colella was charged with sending a hoax ransom message to Nancy's oldest daughter, Annie, attempting to exploit the family's desperation for his own financial gain. A cruel, opportunistic act that investigators had to spend precious resources investigating and eliminating. The real ransom notes, received by a Tucson TV station and containing 2 deadlines, both of which passed without contact, remain under active forensic analysis. My personal opinion, the hoax ransom note tells us something important that nobody is saying loudly enough. When a case generates this level of national attention, it also generates predators, people willing to exploit a family's grief for money. But the real kidnapper has gone silent. No contact since the deadlines passed, no proof of life, no new demands. And in kidnapping cases, prolonged silence from a captor who initially made contact is one of the most troubling signs investigators face. Psychologically, the suspect captured in that doorbell footage presents a profile that forensic experts find deeply concerning, precisely because he does not fit the chaotic pattern of an impulsive criminal. His approach was methodical, his equipment was prepared in advance, his awareness of camera angles suggests either prior surveillance experience or significant digital research into how home security systems work. The fact that he carried a loaded firearm to the home of a frail 84-year-old who could not walk 50 yards unassisted tells investigators one of 2 things. He anticipated resistance from someone other than Nancy, meaning he may not have expected to find her alone, or he carried it as a psychological control mechanism, a tool of intimidation rather than violence. Either interpretation points to a suspect who thought carefully about this operation before he executed it. No autopsy is applicable. Nancy Guthrie has not been found. Her blood was confirmed on the front porch of her home. Her heart medication remains untouched. The Tucson community has filled the sidewalk outside her house with yellow flowers, a symbol of hope that has become the quiet, heartbreaking emblem of this entire case. As of today, March 10th, 2026, Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 38 days. The investigation is active, the science is running, the tips are being processed, and somewhere in Tucson, in a Walmart transaction record, in a cell tower ping, in a fragment of DNA on a glove, the answer exists. And here is the question I want to burn into your mind before you go to sleep tonight. The one detail former FBI and law enforcement experts keep circling back to without saying it out loud. This suspect walked up to Nancy Guthrie's front door in the middle of the night, carrying a loaded gun, wearing a mask, and knowing exactly which camera to target. He had been there before. He knew the layout, he knew the schedule, he knew she would be alone. So here is what I need you to sit with tonight. How much did he already know about that house before he ever set foot on that porch? And who could have given him that information? Drop everything you were thinking in the comments right now. Do you recognize anything about the suspect from the FBI footage? Do you think the Walmart purchase trail will crack this case? And do you believe Nancy Guthrie is still alive? Every single comment matters, because somewhere in the public there is someone who knows something, and your share of this video might be what puts this case in front of that person. If you have any information about Nancy Guthrie,